Sangha members is here today, sort of waking up and starting their day in New Zealand. And what I just saw them do, which I really love, is just took a moment to rub their eyes. So I'd like to begin our practice today by just giving, get in touch with your eyes and give your eyes a little rub, give your forehead a little swipe, just any thoughts that might be lingering, just swipe them away. Shake it out a little bit and arrive to the practice. I'd like to set the intention of our practice today with a sentiment of loving kindness, metta. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, I have hundreds of these sentiments, most of which I've painted, but not all. There are many here that were painted by others, community members. And I'd like to share this one today. This was painted by one of our wonderful Sangha members. And I like the back too, because it's got all these dots and spills on it. I think that's fabulous. This one reads, "May you grow rooted like trees. May you grow rooted like trees." Welcome, everyone. This is Recovery Dharma. My name is Julia. I'm one of the facilitators in the Spokane Sangha, and I'm so happy to be here. On Wednesdays, we have been studying and exploring the work of Shantideva, who is an 8th century monk. And he was very famous for having attended a university in India called Nalanda University, and it was the world's really only Buddhist university, a place of an intensive study and practice, as well as a monastery of thousands and thousands and thousands of monks. Shantideva's legend is one of a slacker, which I love. I love thinking about him as a young man in a saffron robe, slacking, you know? He blew off classes. He did not engage. He didn't fall in line. What he did was he took one of the Buddha's teachings deep into the very private, intimate, tender parts of his heart, at least as it seems to me. And what that teaching, at least as Shantideva understood it and as I understand it, what he did and what he took to heart was this: don't try to become like me, Siddhartha Gautama, the awakened one. Take this wisdom and breathe it into life through you, as you, in your life, in your experience, in your body, in your karma, wherever you are in the world, at whatever time you are in the world. Shantideva did exactly that. And in order to do that, he had to sort of create this appearance of this slacker rebel student. And so he spent a lot of time alone contemplating the sutras that he was learning. And very privately for himself, he created a map, a way to live his life such that his presence, himself, as he was, could be a source of healing wherever he went. He just wanted to radiate this energy of peace and ease. He wanted to take on the miseries and the sufferings of the world, of everyone he encountered, take it on just a little bit as a way of creating an avenue of ease for that individual. And when he was challenged by his peers, really an exercise to try to humiliate him or even shame him or try to, get him in line, get him into shape, be like everybody else, to conform. When they challenged him to bring forward what he learned and understood, he brought forward this whole original idea called the way of the Bodhisattva, or the guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life. We're still talking about it. Centuries and centuries later, we're still trying to understand it and dissect it and see how it applies in our own life. And the miracle of it is it does. So we have been studying this book. It's not a big book, it's a wee book. We've been exploring it for, golly, a couple of years now, I think. And we are in chapter 9, and this is all about the cultivation of wisdom. And the thing about wisdom that I really like to consider is wisdom is not the same thing as knowledge. Wisdom for me is the capacity to look at something from as many points of view as possible, to create enough space in my mind and in my heart and in my own understanding to just keep exploring even the most simple concept and entertain it from as many angles as I possibly can, not being attached to anything. And what we've been talking about for the last several weeks is this idea of perspective and perception. And Shantideva, what we're going to read today is Shantideva is going to spend a lot of time talking about the body. And it seems to me he's got this emphasis about the body because at that time in his life, there was so much emphasis as the body being the person. Your body is you. And with that is the way we decorate the body is an expression of you. The clothes you put on it is an expression of you. If you're poor, you wear a pauper's garments. If you're of affluence, you wear princely robes. And that's somehow you. And Shantideva is saying, what a falsity, what a misperception. Your body is merely this vehicle, this entity to examine, to question, to wonder about. And it's so fascinating because even today, all of these centuries later, so many people still suffering from body image. We still live in a society that celebrates youth, a youthful appearance. Our elders, as we age, we become more invisible. It's really a fascinating thing. But don't take my word for it. Let's hear what Shantideva has to say. If you say that the body is distributed among all its different parts, although we can say that the parts exist in the parts, Where does a separate possessor of these parts abide? And if you say that the entire body exists within each part, such as the hand, it follows that there are as many bodies as there are different parts. So let's just take that in for a minute. What he's thinking about is, let's put it into the first person. Me, Julia. Am I my ear or my fingernail or my knee or my collarbone or my spine or my blood vessels or my liver? You get it. So I'm not all of my parts. Yet, even when my parts are put together into my whole body, is that whole body me? And let's say I look at a part of my body, my ear, for example. What he's trying to illuminate is that you could spend so much time with just your ear and it would become a universe unto itself. There's so much about our bodies that we know so very little about. And in fact, now in the contemporary time, there's so much about my own body that I just completely take for granted. I don't think about breathing all the time. I don't think about how my heart is pumping all the time. I definitely don't think about my pancreas or my gallbladder. I don't think about the blood vessels and the exchange that's going on within the muscles. Not really. I have this very superficial awareness of it, but I don't really move my body and have those images come up in my mind. And what Shantideva is asking us to do is think about it once in a while. The body is a miracle. Your body. And it's also more than what you think. It's more than what you perceive. And it's more than what you judge. It's more than what we see, what we understand, what we know. I'm going to read two more verses. He writes, if a truly existent body cannot be found either inside or outside the body, how can there be a truly existent body among the parts, such as the hands? And since there is no body separate from its parts, how can there truly be an existent body at all? Therefore, there is no body. But because of ignorance, we perceive a body within the hands and so forth. Just like a mind mistakenly apprehending a person when observing the shape of a pile of stones at dusk. Okay. Shantideva and I would have words. At least I like to imagine that we would. Who knows if I would have ever been allowed anywhere near Nalanda University, but I think we would have been friends. And I think we would have had conversations about what really this line, therefore there is no body. That just seems silly to me. Of course, there's a body. It's very dualistic. There's either a body or there's no body. right? But what I think he's trying to get at is our perception of what we think a body is. That's really what needs to be reworked and constantly challenged. And that last poetic reference of when we mistakenly see someone, we think we see someone, but really we discover it's a tree log or a pile of stones or a statue. Or, have you ever had the experience where you see someone from behind and you're just convinced that it's someone you know, and you go up to them and you put your hand on their shoulder and they turn around and it's a completely different person. And yet something about the back of them made you think of this person, and you were so confident in your action that you physically touched them and approached them and so forth. We've all had similar situations arise like that. And the whole point is that our perception of things isn't always as clear as we believe. And because our perception isn't always clear, then the thoughts that go with it, the stories that go with it, are also distortions. The body is such an incredible place to practice. It's the first foundation of mindfulness, which is why I cannot abide by the idea that there is no body. There is, and it's a treasure trove of exploration. And it's such a wonderful place for me to catch myself in the middle of a distortion. And one of my favorite ways to work with my own body is when I'm entertaining one of the four noble reminders, which is the nature of impermanence. And how I work with impermanence, everything is subject to change. What really comes alive for me in my body with respect to impermanence is whenever I get sick. When I'm in the middle of an illness, it feels like it's going to last forever. And I worry that it's going to last forever. I worry that this is going to be it. And whatever it is, oh, the nightmares I can concoct, the stories I can create, the horror movies I begin to script about this being it, all because I have a fever that is not going to last. But it stirs up in me. Involuntarily, by the way, it just happens. That's part of my karma. That's part of my life experience. And so now that I'm practiced, I know when I get sick, I'm like, oh, all right, impermanence has come knocking on the door again. It wants to be entertained. It wants to share its wisdom. I'm going to invite impermanence in, even though I feel miserable and I'm telling myself a story that this is going to last a very long time. Pain is like that. Any kind of discomfort in my body is like that. And one of the mistakes I made very early on in my spiritual practice is I would really try to spiritually bypass the discomfort or the pain by trying to tell myself that it's not there. I'm making it up, I'm imagining it, it's not as bad as I perceive, and so on. And so really what I was doing was I was invalidating my experience. And I was mostly motivated to do that because I just wanted to get out of it sooner than later because I was so uncomfortable. And I hadn't yet learned how to be with this discomfort exactly as it is because I feared it lingering. And the truth of the matter for me is that sometimes it did linger. Sometimes when I spent time being with the pain or the discomfort, I actually fed it and made it stick around a little bit longer. Sometimes when I was with that pain and discomfort, when I was really authentically with it, it didn't last as long. It's a spectrum, and both were real for me. Sometimes it lasted longer, sometimes it eased up a little bit, sometimes it was kind of a neutral experience where it just was what it was. The point being, the body is a great source for practice. The invitation from Shantideva is not distorting the body for something other than what it is, a vehicle, a temple, a resource for the mind, for the heart. So I want to encourage you to come into your body exactly as it is. Find a little bit of stillness if you can, and simply breathe. How is your body today? And just notice what comes up for you in answer to that question. And it's okay if the response that's coming up for you is a judgment. That happens to me all the time. I'll ask myself, Julia darling, how's your body today? And I'll hear myself say something like, well, kind of flabby, wouldn't want to be in a bathing suit right now. Oh my word. What is that all about? That's where Shante Davis would be like, Julia, seriously, really? That's what your body is? Go deeper, darling. That's a superficial judgment. What's underneath? What else is there? And then in that space, what comes forward is, wow, my body is really strong. My body is enormously resilient. Um, I can't believe all the crap I have fed my body over the years, and it just flushes it right out and does its things to the point that if I eat that crap food now, my body has all kinds of bells and whistles to let me know that I've made the wrong choice. My body is quite dependable right now. It won't always be, but it is now. How's your body? What is your body to you? Let's take a moment and just enjoy this quiet reflection just for a minute. And maybe as you settle into your body even more, you can channel the sentiment of metta, and root into your body and branch into your body like a tree. And we're going to continue this conversation that we're having for the month of June, which is the second aspect of the Noble Eightfold Path, wise intention. But one of the things that we're doing in the Spokane Sangha that's so unique is we're, again, as I said, we're taking to heart the Buddhist teaching and the Buddhist suggestion, really the Buddha's urging of to take this wisdom, take these teachings, and breathe them into life in you. And so in me. So when I have explored the Noble Eightfold Path and I think about wise intention, I think about what does that really mean for me? What are some of the qualities that I need to cultivate in order to have wise intentions? And so what came alive for me was to be spacious. In order for me to really explore my intentions and to be honest about my intentions, I have to be spacious. I have to give myself space, and I have to give other people space. And let me give you an example of what I mean. So, I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but I've had an experience. I'm thinking of a loved one of my kids, and she's very sensitive to my word choices. And I'll say something, and her mind will interpret it a certain way, and she will give me feedback about that. And my initial response is, oh my God, that's not what I intended, right? And it isn't what I intended. But that response back to her is invalidating to her experience. So even though I didn't intend it, doesn't mean that she's not having her own experience from what I just said, based on her karma, her lived experience, her legacy. And so it has taught me that, wow, even my good intentions can go awry, and I have to work with that. I have to sit with that. I have to think about that. And the only way I can do any of it is if I create space for me to do this. And I create space for other people to have their experience. So that's what we're going to explore for this entire month. And I think it's going to be amazing. And so that's what we're going to start with tomorrow. Josh and John have already done beautiful meditations to begin to kick us off this week. And I'll add to it tomorrow and Friday. On Sunday at 11 o'clock a.m., we get to meet for Satyaseva. And we're going to continue exploring space, if you can imagine. It's the third mindfulness practice in our Satyaseva book, and it's all about the cultivation of space. We've got a couple of opportunities and things happening at Soul Center events and so forth. You can read all about it on the website. Don't forget that we have a new token of mindfulness. The Sentiment of Metta cards are available, and you can make a Dana offering for those. I think they're $25 or more, whatever you want to do. And it's just a daily ritual of selecting a sentiment of metta, just like we do here. All righty, let's go ahead, friends, and end our practice with a dedication of merit. And I'd like to do this dedication. This is something Pema Chodron does, especially when she explores Shantideva. Pema Chodron has spent a lot of time studying the work of Shantideva. And in fact, her book, No Time to Lose, is a great one for it. But she has a wonderful dedication that partners with Shantideva's words, his dedication, really. And so, how this goes is you bring your gaze inward and let it rest at the level of the heart. And see if you can imagine your heart as a spiral. I like to think of it as a galaxy, a spiraled galaxy, a little dusty, a little starry and twinkly and colored. Pema Chodron encourages a golden light, a radiant sun beaming from that heart space. And don't forget, friends, what the Hindu tradition teaches us is that heart chakra is not only at the front of the body, it's also in the back. So if you're going to radiate golden light from the front of the heart, don't forget to radiate it and imagine yourself radiating it from the back. Your back body, it can't be seen by you, but so many people behind you can see that. So let your back body radiate glowing, warm light. And just imagine this radiance as incorruptible, infinite. It'll just go on and on and on. Shantideva famously said, "For as long as beings exist, for as long as suffering exists, may I too remain to help dispel the misery of the world." And it can be as simple as your light, touching strangers, interacting with people in the way you stand and the way you move, front and back, top and bottom. Radiate this light, this glowing light. You never know the ways that you will dispel the misery, the loneliness, the sorrow in others. Thank you for your magnificent practice, friends. We'll see you next time. Namaste.